Muhammad Ali was doing a live TV interview when the phone rang. It was an 8-year-old girl with cancer who had one question for her hero. When she asked it, Ali broke down crying on camera. The interview had to stop. 3 million people watched the greatest become the most vulnerable man in America. What nobody knew was that question would haunt Ali until the day he died. It was October 12, 1982, and Muhammad Ali was appearing on The Morning Show, a popular daytime talk show broadcast live from Chicago. At 40 years old, Ali had been retired from boxing for just over a year. His speech was already showing signs of the Parkinson's disease that would define the rest of his life, though he hadn't been officially diagnosed yet. The interview was supposed to be light and fun, reminiscing about his career, talking about his plans for retirement, maybe doing a magic trick or two. Ali loved doing magic tricks for kids. The host, Barbara Reynolds, was skilled at keeping things upbeat. The studio audience was excited. Everything was going according to plan. They'd been talking for about 15 minutes when a producer walked onto the set during a commercial break and handed Barbara a note. She read it, looked surprised, then nodded. "Muhammad," she said as they came back from commercial, "we have someone on the phone who wants to ask you a question. She's been trying to reach you for weeks. Her name is Sarah. She's 8 years old, and she's calling from Children's Hospital." Ali's expression changed immediately. He sat up straighter. "Put her on," he said. The phone line crackled through the studio speakers. Then came a small, weak voice that silenced the entire studio audience. "Mr. Ali? Is that really you?" "Yes, sweetheart. This is Muhammad Ali. What's your name?" "Sarah. Sarah Matthews. I'm 8 years old. I have leukemia." The studio went completely silent. Barbara Reynolds looked like she wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words. Ali's eyes were already starting to glisten. "Sarah," Ali said gently, "thank you for calling me. You're very brave. I watch your fights on TV with my daddy. You're my favorite. You always win." Ali smiled, but it was a sad smile. "Not always, honey. I lost some fights too." "But you never gave up. That's what Daddy says. He says you're the greatest because you never give up." "Your daddy sounds like a smart man," Ali said. There was a pause. On the phone, they could hear Sarah taking deep breaths, like it was hard for her to talk. The effort of this conversation was clearly exhausting her.
"Mr. Ali," Sarah said finally, "I have a question." "Anything, sweetheart. You ask me anything you want." Another pause, longer this time. In the hospital room, hundreds of miles away, Sarah was gathering her courage to ask the question she'd been thinking about for weeks, the question that kept her awake at night, the question that scared her more than the cancer. "Mr. Ali," she said, her voice cracking, "when you die, will you remember me in heaven?" The question hit Ali like a physical blow. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. His eyes filled with tears that immediately spilled down his cheeks. His hands, already trembling slightly from the early Parkinson's, began to shake harder. Barbara Reynolds put her hand over her mouth. Several people in the studio audience started crying. The cameras kept rolling, capturing every second of Ali's breakdown. Ali tried to speak. "Sarah, His voice broke. He tried again. "Sweetheart, But he couldn't finish. The tears were coming too fast. The emotion was too overwhelming. Muhammad Ali, who had faced down Sonny Liston and George Foreman, who had stood up to the United States government, who had never backed down from anything, couldn't answer an 8-year-old girl's question. He covered his face with his hands and sobbed. The director quickly cut to commercial. The last thing 3 million viewers saw was Muhammad Ali crying so hard his shoulders were shaking. During the commercial break, Barbara Reynolds knelt beside Ali's chair. "Mohammed, we can end the interview here. You don't have to—" "No," Ali said, wiping his eyes. "Get her back. I need to talk to her. I need to answer her question." When they came back from commercial, Ali had composed himself somewhat, though his eyes were still red and his voice was thick with emotion. "Sarah," he said into the phone, "are you still there?" "Yes, Mr. Ali." She sounded worried. "Did I make you sad?" "No, baby, you didn't make me sad. You made me think about something very important. Can I tell you something?" "Okay." Ali took a deep breath. "Sarah, when I get to heaven, and I hope it's a long, long time from now, you know what I'm going to do first?" "What?" "I'm going to look for you. And when I find you, you know what we're going to do?" "What?" "We're going to float like butterflies. Both of us. Together. No more pain, no more being sick, just floating. How does that sound?" On the phone, Sarah was crying now too. But she managed to say, "That sounds really nice, Mr. Ali." "And Sarah," Ali continued, his voice stronger now, "I want you to promise me something. Can you do that?" "Yes."
Promise me you'll fight. You'll fight this cancer the same way I fought in the ring. You be brave, you be strong, and you never, ever give up. Can you promise me that?" "I promise," Sarah said. "And I promise you," Ali said, "that I will never forget you, not in this life and not in the next one. You are Sarah Matthews, and Muhammad Ali knows your name. That means something. That means you matter. That means you're a champion too." The interview ended shortly after that. The studio audience gave Ali a standing ovation, but it was different from the usual applause he received. This wasn't celebration. This was respect, recognition of something profound they'd just witnessed. After the show, Ali asked Barbara Reynolds for Sarah's hospital information. She gave it to him, along with her parents' phone number. "What are you going to do?" Barbara asked. "I'm going to visit her," Ali said simply. 3 days later, Muhammad Ali walked into Children's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts. He had told no one he was coming, not his management, not the press, not even his wife. This wasn't a publicity stunt. This was personal. He found Sarah's room on the pediatric oncology ward. Her parents were there, and when they saw Ali walk through the door, they both started crying. Sarah was asleep, her head bald from chemotherapy, her skin pale. She looked even younger than 8 years old. Ali sat in the chair beside her bed and waited. He didn't wake her. He just sat there, this huge man folded into a small hospital chair, watching a dying little girl sleep. After about an hour, Sarah's eyes opened. She saw Ali and gasped. "You came," she whispered. "I promised I wouldn't forget you. Muhammad Ali keeps his promises." For the next 2 hours, Ali sat with Sarah. He did magic tricks. He told her stories about his fights. He let her touch his Olympic gold medal, which he'd brought specifically for her. He made her laugh, actually laugh, something her parents said she hadn't done in weeks. When it was time to leave, Ali knelt beside Sarah's bed and held her small hand in his large one. "Sarah, you're going to get better. I believe that. But if you don't, if heaven gets you before heaven gets me, you save me a spot, okay? And when I get there, we'll float like butterflies." Sarah smiled. "I'll save you the best spot." Ali kissed her forehead and left. In the hallway, he broke down crying again, this time with no cameras, not audience, just Sarah's parents holding him while he wept. Sarah Matthews died on November 3, 1982, 22 days after calling Ali on live television. She was buried in Oak Hill Cemetery in her hometown of Newton, Massachusetts. At her funeral, her father read a letter Sarah had dictated to him in her final days. It was addressed to Muhammad Ali. The letter thanked Ali for visiting her. It told him about the dreams she'd been having, dreams where she could run and play and breathe without hurting.
and it ended with a P.S. "Don't forget our promise. I'll be floating and waiting." Ali wasn't at the funeral. He didn't even know Sarah had died until 2 weeks later when her parents finally worked up the courage to call him. When they told him, he was silent for a long time.
"Where is she buried?" he finally asked. They told him. What Sarah's parents didn't know, what nobody knew for 15 years, was that Muhammad Ali began visiting Sarah's grave. Not once or twice, but regularly. Whenever he was anywhere near Boston, he'd drive to Oak Hill Cemetery, find Sarah's grave, and sit there for hours. He'd talk to her about his life, about his fights, about his struggles with Parkinson's. He'd update her on his children. He'd tell her jokes. And he'd apologize over and over for not being able to save her, even though there was nothing he could have done. Ali kept these visits completely secret. He'd go alone, often at dawn or dusk when few people were around. He'd wear a baseball cap and sunglasses to avoid being recognized. He never told his family, never told his friends. This was between him and Sarah. Over 15 years, Ali visited Sarah's grave at least 30 times, sometimes more than once a year. He brought flowers. He left small gifts, a butterfly pin, a small boxing glove, a picture of himself with "To Sarah, the real champion" written on the back. The groundskeeper at Oak Hill Cemetery, a man named Robert Chen, noticed the visits but didn't know who the visitor was until one day in 1997 when Ali's sunglasses fell off. Chen recognized him immediately but said nothing. He watched from a distance as Ali sat by the grave, speaking softly, sometimes crying. Chen kept Ali's secret for nearly 20 years, only revealing it after Ali's death in 2016. He loved that little girl, Chen told reporters. You could see it in the way he'd sit there, in the way he'd carefully arrange the flowers. He'd sometimes bring a butterfly, a real butterfly, in a jar and release it at her grave. He'd say, "There you go, Sarah. Float like a butterfly." It was the most tender thing I ever saw. In 1997, 15 years after Sarah's death, Ali made his last visit to her grave. His Parkinson's had progressed significantly by then. He could barely walk, could barely speak, but he made the trip. This time, he brought something different, a letter he'd written to Sarah. His handwriting was shaky, barely legible, but the message was clear. "Sarah," the letter read, "I kept my promise. I never forgot you. Every time I see a butterfly, I think of you. Every time I hear a little girl laugh, I remember your laugh. You asked me if I'd remember you in heaven. The answer is yes. I'll remember you in heaven because I've remembered you every single day since you left. You were braver than any fighter I ever faced. You were stronger than any champion I ever knew, and you taught me something important, that the greatest victories aren't in boxing rings. They're in hospital rooms, where little girls fight battles nobody can see. I love you, Sarah. I'll see you soon. We'll float like butterflies. Muhammad Ali." He left the letter in a waterproof container at her grave, weighted down with a stone. When Muhammad Ali died on June 3, 2016, Sarah's parents, now elderly themselves, attended his funeral in Louisville. They brought with them every item Ali had left at their daughter's grave over the years: the butterfly pin, the small boxing glove, the pictures, the letter. At a private gathering after the funeral, Sarah's mother, Linda Matthews, shared the story publicly for the first time. She told the assembled mourners about the phone call, about Ali's hospital visit, about the secret grave visits that lasted 15 years. "My daughter asked Muhammad Ali if he would remember her in heaven, and he proved that he would. He remembered her every day for 34 years. He never forgot his promise to an 8-year-old girl he spoke to for 10 minutes on the phone."
She held up the letter Ali had left at Sarah's grave.
This letter is dated October 12, 1997, exactly 15 years after Sarah called him on TV. He didn't forget the date. He didn't forget her. Muhammad Ali kept his promise. Today, at Oak Hill Cemetery, Sarah Matthews' grave has a small plaque next to it that wasn't there before. It reads, Sarah Matthews, 1974-1982, champion, friend of Muhammad Ali. Float like a butterfly. The plaque was paid for anonymously, but Robert Chen, the groundskeeper, knows who did it. On June 3, 2016, the day Ali died, Chen found an envelope at Sarah's grave. Inside was cash and a note for Sarah's marker from her friend who never forgot, M.A. Ali had arranged it before his death, one final gift to the little girl who asked him a question he could never forget. The story of Muhammad Ali and Sarah Matthews reminds us that true greatness isn't measured in championships or fame. It's measured in promises kept, in tears shed for others' pain, in secret acts of love that nobody sees. Ali broke down on live television because an 8-year-old girl's question reminded him of something he usually tried not to think about, his own mortality. Her innocence and her fear cut through all his bravado and forced him to confront the fact that someday he too would die. And her question, "Will you remember me?" touched something deeper, the universal human fear of being forgotten. Ali couldn't save Sarah, but he could promise to remember her. And he kept that promise for 34 years. If this story moved you, remember, we all leave marks on the world, but the deepest marks we leave are in the hearts of those we love. Sarah Matthews lived only 8 years, but because of a 10-minute phone call and a man who kept his promise, her story is still being told. She matters. She's remembered. And somewhere, maybe, Muhammad Ali and Sarah Matthews are floating like butterflies together, just like he promised. Share this story. Let people know that heroes aren't people who never cry. Heroes are people who cry for the right reasons and then keep their promises anyway.